It was a chilly autumn evening, and I was on my usual routine of delivering pizzas around the town. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink as the sun set behind the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets. As I cruised through the neighborhood, I couldn't help but admire the tranquility of the suburban landscape. With each delivery, I would ring the doorbell, exchange pleasantries with the customers, and hand over their piping hot pizzas. It was a simple job, but one that kept me occupied and paid the bills. As I made my rounds, I found solace in the familiar routine, often losing myself in the melodies streaming from my car stereo. However, as I approached my 8th delivery of the night, a sense of unease crept over me. The streetlights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows on the pavement. I brushed off the feeling, chalking it up to fatigue from a long day's work. But as I turned onto a dimly lit street, my car suddenly jerked and warning lights began to flash on the dashboard. Panic gripped me as I coasted to a stop on the deserted road. I tried restarting the engine, but to no avail. With a sinking feeling in my stomach, I realized that my car had broken down. I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by darkness and uncertainty. Frantically, I reached for my phone to call for help, but my heart sank when I saw the low battery notification. Desperation gnawed at me as I scanned the desolate surroundings for any signs of life. The nearest gas station was miles away, and walking there in the dead of night seemed like an insurmountable task. Gathering my wits, I decided to inform the customer about my predicament. With trembling hands, I dialed the number and explained the situation, apologizing profusely for the inconvenience. Next, I called my manager, who reassured me to prioritize my safety and not to worry about completing the delivery. Relief washed over me at his words, but I couldn't shake off the sense of vulnerability that engulfed me. Alone in the darkness, with only the dim glow of my phone to illuminate the interior of my car, I felt like a sitting duck. Time crawled by as I waited for help to arrive, the silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I noticed a shadowy figure emerging from the darkness, making its way towards my car. My heart hammered in my chest as I watched the stranger approach with cautious steps. Instinctively, I switched off my phone's flashlight, hoping to go unnoticed. But as the figure drew closer, I could see the glint of mischief in their eyes. A sense of dread washed over me as the stranger tapped on my window, their face obscured by the darkness. I rolled down the window slightly, trying to keep my voice steady as I asked what they wanted. To my dismay, the stranger requested a ride to the nearest gas station, claiming to have run out of fuel. Alarm bells rang in my head as I assessed the situation. Something about the stranger's demeanor set off warning signals in my mind. With a sinking feeling, I realized that I was being targeted. Refusing the stranger's request, I tried to remain calm as they grew increasingly agitated. Their insistence turned into hostility as they banged on the window, demanding to be let in. Fear coursed through my veins as I fumbled for something, anything, to defend myself with. In a stroke of luck, I found a tire iron tucked away in the back seat. Gripping it tightly, I braced myself for the worst, praying for help to arrive soon. The stranger's attempts to break into my car grew more frantic, their rage palpable in the stillness of the night. Just when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the sound of approaching headlights pierced the darkness. With a surge of relief, I watched as my brother's car pulled up beside mine, his concerned face illuminated by the headlights. Without a moment's hesitation, he sprang into action, chasing off the would-be attacker before helping me into his car. As we sped away from the scene, I couldn't help but feel grateful for his timely intervention. Back at home, safe and sound, I recounted the harrowing ordeal to the police, my hands still trembling from the adrenaline rush. Though shaken by the experience, I knew that I was fortunate to have escaped unscathed. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake off the lingering sense of dread that clung to me like a shadow. The incident had shattered my sense of security, reminding me of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, one thing remained clear. I was grateful for the unwavering support of my loved ones, whose presence had been my saving grace on that fateful night. And as I reflected on the events that had unfolded, I vowed to never take my safety for granted again. Throughout my college years, I worked at a quaint little restaurant that catered to night owls, staying open until the wee hours of the morning. Most nights, the closing shift would end around 1 a.m., but occasionally, a late delivery order would trickle in, extending my shift just a tad longer. I always looked forward to these delivery runs. There was something freeing about leaving the confines of the restaurant and hitting the open road, even if it was just for a short while. Plus, the promise of extra tip money made it all the more enticing. One particular night, as the clock struck midnight, I received the last delivery order of the evening. With a sigh of resignation, I grabbed the insulated bag and headed out to my car. The GPS indicated a 15-minute drive, taking me from the bustling streets of downtown to the quiet suburbs on the outskirts of town. As I merged onto the highway, the familiar hum of the engine and the soft glow of the dashboard lights provided a sense of comfort. However, my tranquility was short-lived as I noticed a car approaching from behind, its headlights piercing through the darkness with alarming speed. Instinctively, I veered to the right, allowing the car to pass. But to my surprise, it matched my pace, dangerously tailgating my vehicle. My heart raced as I struggled to comprehend the driver's erratic behavior. Was it road rage, intoxication, or something far more sinister? Despite my attempts to shake off the unwanted company, the car remained hot on my tail, its presence looming ominously in my rearview mirror. With each passing mile, my anxiety mounted, fueling a growing sense of unease. As I approached the exit for the customer's neighborhood, I prayed for respite from the relentless pursuit, yet, to my dismay, the car followed suit, trailing me into the quiet suburban streets. With a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, I navigated through the maze of residential roads, the the darkness casting eerie shadows across the landscape. And then, as if on cue, the headlights behind me flickered out, plunging the street into darkness. Panic seized me as I realized the gravity of the situation. I was alone, vulnerable, and being hunted by an unknown assailant. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, desperate for a lifeline in the darkness. But before I could dial for help, the car pulled alongside mine, revealing a menacing figure behind the wheel. My blood ran cold as the driver emerged from the vehicle, his features contorted in rage. I froze, paralyzed by fear, as he approached my window with malicious intent. His slurred words and erratic gestures sent shivers down my spine, signaling the danger that lurked within. And then, as if to punctuate his menace, he brandished a gleaming blade, its steel glinting in the moonlight. Terror gripped me as he pounded on the window, his intentions clear, with adrenaline coursing through my veins. I slammed the car into reverse, heedless of the consequences. The tires screeched against the pavement as I fled the scene, the echoes of his rage fading into the night. For what felt like an eternity, I drove in a blind panic, my mind racing with thoughts of escape. It wasn't until I reached the safety of a nearby neighborhood that I dared to breathe a sigh of relief. Shaken but alive, I reached out to the customer, my voice trembling as I recounted the harrowing ordeal. To my relief, they offered solace and reassurance, their words a balm to my frayed nerves. And though my co-workers may have doubted the veracity of my story, I knew the truth. I had stared into the abyss that night and lived to tell the tale. And as I locked the doors of the restaurant behind me, I vowed to never underestimate the darkness that lay beyond. During my college years, I juggled 2 part-time jobs to make ends meet. One as a delivery driver for DoorDash, and the other at a local retail store. It was a hectic schedule, but the flexibility of DoorDash allowed me to earn extra cash on busy days, especially during weekends when people tended to order more. One particular evening, I found myself behind the wheel of my trusty car, navigating the suburban streets of my town. The sun had already dipped below the horizon, casting a dusky glow over the quiet neighborhoods. Despite the darkness, I was accustomed to the routine, having spent countless nights delivering meals to hungry customers. As I accepted a large order from a high-end restaurant, I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Big orders like these meant bigger tips, and I was eager to pocket some extra cash. The customer's address led me to an affluent neighborhood nestled amidst towering trees and sprawling estates. Upon arrival, I encountered an unexpected obstacle, a chain obstructing the entrance to the customer's driveway. It was a rare sight, as most homeowners left their gates open for delivery drivers. Frustration bubbled within me as I realized that unlocking the chain was beyond my control. Reluctantly, I dialed the customer's number, hoping for a quick solution. A man answered the phone and assured me that there was a shortcut through the trees, leading directly to the house. Skeptical but determined, I grabbed the food bag and embarked on the suggested path. As I ventured deeper into the darkness, a sense of unease washed over me. The absence of lights along the driveway added to my discomfort, amplifying the eerie atmosphere. My nerves heightened when I heard footsteps approaching from the shadows. A figure emerged from the darkness, extending a hand in greeting. Despite his friendly demeanor, I couldn't shake off the feeling of apprehension. His explanation about the shortcut seemed plausible, but something about his demeanor set off alarm bells in my mind. Reluctantly, I handed over the food, eager to escape the unsettling encounter. His offer of a cash tip sounded tempting, but my instincts urged me to decline. Hastily, I retreated back to my car, relieved to put distance between myself and the stranger. Once safely inside my car, I breathed a sigh of relief, grateful to be away from the bizarre encounter. Upon reaching home, I reported the incident to the authorities, hoping to prevent any future incidents. In the days that followed, the memory of that unsettling encounter lingered in my mind. Though I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease, I vowed to remain vigilant during future deliveries, trusting my instincts to keep me safe.